heard you, bastard! Come out! Must be the wind. Good day to you, my digital comrades. I just finished playing all classic main Resident Evil games. There are like about 6 of them or 5 of them. And I thought it would be a cool idea to make this video and answer one simple question. Which Resident Evil games, like from the main series, from the classic series, you should play? And my little dudes, I want to warn you right away, right now, it's not a video essay for 1 or 2 hours, it's not a documentary, it's not a tier list, it's not a video what made these games great. You can find those kind of videos on YouTube, there's so many of them. This video is just coming from a person, from a guy who just recently stepped into this franchise, who doesn't have any childhood nostalgia, any biases, who tried these games in 2026 and just want to tell you like, oh, which ones you should try, you should play, and why. And don't worry guys, this video is spoiler free. I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers as much as I can, and some things of course I will be mentioning, but they will be insignificant. It's not gonna ruin your playthrough. Again, with this video I am aiming for the people who never played the original Resident Evil games, and maybe they want to try right now but they're kind of scared for some reason, so I'm trying to kind of appeal to them. And maybe if you are like a rusted OG fan of Resident Evil games, maybe you're gonna find my like fresh new opinion from the guy who never played them interesting too. I hope so. It's always nice to see a new perspective, right? A new opinion. Okay, I feel like I've been yapping for a little too long. Let's just cut to the chase and talk about the very first game in the franchise.
Resident Evil.
You know what is interesting? It was really hard for me to evaluate the first Resident Evil game because it's the first game in the franchise. It's where all the other games came from. It's kind of obviously I should just tell you go and play it without hesitation. But I will surprise you, and I'm gonna tell you right now, is that in my opinion you can actually skip it. And I have exactly 2 reasons for that. I'm gonna talk about those 2 reasons a little bit just slightly later in this video. But as of right now, let's just talk about something else. The first thing I actually want to talk about is the game itself. The gameplay loop, the gameplay mechanics, the narrative, and that kind of stuff. Because I don't know if it's gonna be a surprise to you or not, but all the next classic Resident Evil games like Resident Evil 2 or 3, they basically build upon or based on the very first Resident Evil game. If I'm gonna just break down and use Resident Evil 1 as an example, it will be much easier for me to talk about the next Resident Evil games without going back to the explaining you the same exact things over and over and over again. So what do you do in the first Resident Evil game? In the beginning, you have a choice between 2 characters that you can play. Chris, Big Muscles, Redfield, or Jiggle Physics Valentine. And depending on who you choose, you're gonna have a little bit different play style. Here's one thing I want to tell you right now, just it's gonna help you a lot. Chris is a little bit more difficult to play on your first playthrough. I would highly suggest to play as Jill Valentine first, and then if you want to go on the second one, you can choose Chris Redfield. These both characters are the members of this like a special task force called the Stars. They came from this city called Raccoon City, like kind of outside of the Raccoon City, to this mentioned because they got a distress call from a different Stars team, Alpha Stars team, and Chris and Jill, they're part of the Beta, Bravo, no Beta, part of the Bravo Stars team. So they came to this mansion outside of the Raccoon City to investigate what happened to the Alpha team. Pretty soon they find out that the mansion is surrounded by zombie dogs, so they decide to run inside because they think it's safer, but surprise surprise, there are also zombies inside and some other creatures, monsters. And this is where your gameplay basically starts. Like, you just go and you start investigating. The mansion is divided into the east and west wing that you can go and explore. Most of the doors in the beginning, most of the places are locked, so you have to go investigate and find keys, find some items that help you to progress further. And that's your basically gameplay loop for the rest of the game. You just go and you explore. You find some doors there and there that are locked, but you need to go inside of them. So you have to go and find items there and there that help you to open those things. And at the same time, you have to fight monsters and solve easy to difficult puzzles. Like, I think it depends on your IQ or how smart or intelligent you are. But in my opinion, some of those puzzles in the first Resident Evil game, they can actually give you a pretty good challenge. Speaking of challenges, the first challenge that I actually encountered in the game, it's not a puzzle, it's not like a monster or anything, it's the controls. All the classic Resident Evil games use what's called tank controls, which is basically controls that happen like from the perspective of your character, relative to your character and not your camera. So if you're pressing W and D, your character is gonna go to the right from the perspective of its body, not of like what you see on your camera. Like, if you look at the screen, it's not gonna go to the left of your screen, it's probably gonna go to the right of the character. It's hard to explain, it's something that you just have to try. In the beginning it was confusing, but trust me, you're gonna get used to it pretty fast. Like, you will finish one Resident Evil game and all the next one's gonna be easy. And the second challenge that I was not ready for is a fixed camera angle perspective. Basically what they do in these games, they place cameras in different spots on the level, so it's not just the camera follows you. I mean, it kind of follows you, but it chooses like different angle perspectives every time when you go a little bit outside of the screen. It changes the screen to a new screen. Again, it's something hard to explain, but it's like basically like watching a movie, you know, like the scenes changing all the time, but you kind of in the same area. That's how you're gonna feel. And honestly, it was hard to get used to. And it has a lot of issues as well. You don't know where the zombies are sometimes. They are in your level, you know they're like somewhere out there, but you don't actually see them. So you don't know where to shoot at. You can use like the auto aim that the game has, but it's not always accurate, it's not always like helpful. So you have to move to a different screen to see your monsters, and sometimes you can get trapped. You get into these positions where you don't know how to escape from. You go to a different camera angle and then the zombie is right there in the middle, like in the edge between the screens, and he just grabs you and he eats you, and it's really frustrating sometimes. Or what happened to me is that I just couldn't recognize what kind of zombies I'm dealing with. They're making these noises, sometimes it's so weird, like then you find out that it's actually like a freaking giant frog monster or like some kind of dog, not a slow zombie. That can happen. Like you're like, oh yeah, that's that kind of zombie I have to deal with. But then you find out that it's a different type of guy and he's super fast and you're just not ready for it. It's really funny, it's challenging, but again, that's something you can really get used to eventually. And the last challenge, but not the easiest one, trust me, is to get used to the combat. Like basically, you have to stand in one place and your character has only 3 movements that you can do. I mean, 4 technically. You can turn around left, right, that's one movement that you can do. And then you can go like up, at the center and down, like depending on what kind of monsters you're dealing with. If your monster that you're fighting is flying, you will aim up. If the monster is down, you have to aim down. And it's not always accurate, unfortunately. Like there's also, I guess, a distance is playing a crucial role in it. So sometimes you will aim down and you feel like, okay, I should be able to shoot this guy, but you will actually miss. Or you see like a flying enemy, your character aims at it, but you're still gonna miss. Unfortunately, that happens. It's not perfect. You can get used to it, but it's definitely sort of like a minus of these games, that is just not accurate. It doesn't give you like much of a control like where to aim. You can use auto aim and it is helpful, but not all the time. Again, you don't see the entire map. Sometimes you're gonna be shooting like a zombie that you feel like, oh, my character is aiming over there, so the zombie is there, but actually there is like a wall or there is some kind of obstacle that you just don't see, and your bullets just not hitting the zombie. You know, despite these challenges, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about the first Resident Evil game and all the next Resident Evil games, like the second, third. There's only one Resident Evil game that I didn't like, and I'm gonna talk about it. There's one that I would be avoiding, but I'm not gonna tell you which one yet. That's for the next, for a little bit later. But yeah, despite everything, I enjoyed it. Yes, it takes time to get used to it on your very first playthrough. And I'm gonna be honest, even later, when I started to play more and more of the classic Resident Evil games, I still struggled. I still was like, man, like it's not that easy, it's not that comfortable. Doesn't matter, the game loop this game have, it just works. Sound like a Todd Howard here, but it works. It's interesting to explore the areas, it's interesting to solve those puzzles, some of them very challenging. Monsters, sometimes you have to come up with a different approach to defeat them. It's getting stressful, sometimes scary, and everything works. And unfortunately, I cannot share the same excitement and the same positive feelings about the story of the first Resident Evil game. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna say it right now, all the classic Resident Evil games, they have the same type of B-movie stories. And I know a lot of fans, they like it, they want more of it. I don't share it. I want the stories be a little bit more complex in general. But okay, I went off a little bit off tangent. Let's go back to the first one. I know it's an old game. It was made in 1998. I should not expect Christopher Nolan's level of writing in these games. Almost like, why would I, right? They're goofy sometimes, they're funny, but that's as much as it goes. They're not very complex, they're not very deep motivations that the characters have. Pretty simple. Like the main villain of the first Resident Evil game, he's just like, I wanna destroy everything, I wanna control everything, I wanna create this monster. Very straightforward. And there's almost nothing much going on in between the beginning and the ending in the first Resident Evil game. Like, you arrive to the mansion, you investigate the mansion, you have one or two cutscenes at the best, and then you get to the final point where you fight the final boss, and that's pretty much it. You get the credits. It's pretty straightforward. I know it's an old game, that's why I'm not negative about it. I'm just saying it's just the way it is. I just didn't enjoy it as much, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna feel the same about the stories of the next games in the franchise, like the second, third, but we're gonna talk about them later. And let's go back to what I said in the beginning about skipping this game. Those two mystical reasons. Oh, my camera started moving. Let me fix it really quick. Two reasons. Well, you ready for that? Okay? Because of the existence of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 1 Remake. Let's jump to the Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2.
So why I mentioned Resident Evil 2 as the reason to skip Resident Evil 1? It's simple, because Resident Evil 2 is, in the core, the same game as Resident Evil 1. They almost like practically the same exact game. It's just Resident Evil 2 feels a little bit better. It's like a older twin brother who's just slightly, or I don't know, it might be the opposite, younger twin brother who's just a little bit smarter, more beautiful, taller, bigger, that kind of stuff. They kind of the same, but different. Nah, forget about it. And I know it sounds like I'm stating the obvious thing, because Resident Evil 2 came out after Resident Evil 1, so it should improve upon the things that the previous game made, right? Yeah, well, yeah, that's the reason. If I had a choice picking between the two, I would highly recommend to play Resident Evil 2 instead of Resident Evil 1. Okay, let's jump into the details. We have two characters again. Leon, sexy boy ass Kennedy, and we have Claire, big ass Redfield. Yes, she is Chris's younger sister who came to Raccoon City to investigate and find out what happened to her older brother. Leon, he's just a rookie police officer who came to Raccoon City to work as a police officer. It was supposed to be his first day, but Raccoon City is full of zombies now. They happen like a zombie apocalypse. They arrive to the police station where Chris Redfield should be, and Leon Kennedy comes to his first day on the job. This time everything takes place not in a mansion, but kind of like in a mansion. It's a police station that almost has the same layout. You have west and east wing that you can go and explore. And I forgot to mention, by the way, Leon and Claire, they're slightly different from each other, but not that different. Like they use different weapons, for example, but they kind of play the same way. So you pick one of the characters in the beginning and then you go and explore the big police station. I think it's slightly bigger than the mansion in the first game. When it comes to gameplay, they're pretty much the same. Like you have a giant area that you explore, you solve puzzles, the combat is the same, tank controls the same, fixed camera the same. It's just like overall the game is bigger and has a little bit more content, like more weapons, more puzzles, more cutscenes, more story going on. I would say the main difference is that the story is actually more interesting, more engaging. We have more refined side characters like Ada Wong or little girl, I forgot her name, Ashley. Like you actually spend more time with them and there's some kind of a side story going on with them. It's not just like, again, in the first game where in the first Resident Evil, you have the beginning, something happens in the middle, but it doesn't really matter that much, and you have the ending. In Resident Evil 2, something actually happens in between. Leon encounters Ada Wong and they do something together. You even play as Ada Wong for a little bit. Then Claire encounters Ashley, I forgot her name again, don't punch me, I forgot. She encounters this little girl and then you can have a chance to play as that little girl, and there's a lot of things happening behind the scene and you're actually getting piece by piece information of what happened, like who started the zombie apocalypse in Raccoon City, who's responsible for everything, what Ada Wong is looking for, how the little girl is connected to everything. There's just more going on. I'm not saying the story is crazily different, but it's just like overall more interesting. I was actually more glued to the story this time. The same thing I can say about boss fights. I feel like, I'm not gonna swear on this, but it feels like in Resident Evil 2 there are more boss fights. Yeah, they're kind of repetitive, maybe, like you fighting the same boss twice or 3 times. I don't remember now, to be honest, clearly. But in Resident Evil 1, I remember there are like about 3 or 4 boss fights and they all use the same strategy. I'm not gonna talk about those strategies, but they use the same strategy. But in quantity, I think it beats the first Resident Evil. Another thing that Resident Evil 2 did better is save room placement. For some reason in Resident Evil 1, they placed those save rooms, typewriter machines, kind of far away from the location where you need to be. So when you die, you have to go through one location to get to another location, and it just takes time and it's not challenging at all. It's just like kind of annoying and tedious that you have to go through it. I won't go into details exactly, but if you played it, you know what I mean. In Resident Evil 2, the placement is better. If you die, it takes you to the beginning of the area where you're supposed to be to explore it from the beginning and do better choices. It doesn't make the game easier or more casual, no, it just fixes the fundamental game design problem of the first game. Okay, and another little thing that I just want to mention, just one more little thing, is that the stories of each character, right, Leon and Claire, they intersect. I'm not gonna say how, but they do intersect at some point and they can affect each other. It's a small thing, it's barely noticeable, but it's a very cool feature, I'm not gonna lie. when I find out, I was kind of surprised about it. Overall, I would highly recommend Resident Evil 2 over Resident Evil 1. Like, if you want to try the classic Resident Evil, get that experience, but you are kind of afraid, you don't know where to start, I think Resident Evil 2 would be your solid choice. Again, I'm not saying Resident Evil 1 is bad or anything. It still can give you good experience and can be fun. Let's say you don't have time. Let's say you just want to give it a try, but you want to get the best out of it. Why not to play the best version of the first game and just play Resident Evil 2? Yeah, you might miss out like story, like what happens, but you might as well just to go to YouTube and watch the story that happens, the plot of Resident Evil 1. Trust me, it's pretty short. If you're gonna type it in ChatGPT, like breaking down the story, give me the story, it's gonna go like in one paragraph, probably two at the best. Oh my god, my camera again. Let me fix this. Yeah, it's probably gonna fit 1 or 2 paragraphs at the best. So you can just watch the video about the first Resident Evil, but play the second one. I feel like the second one you should not skip, you should definitely play it. But okay, let's now jump to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Resident Evil.
Sorry guys, had to take a shower in the middle of the recording. Damn, I'm dying of this heat. I hate Californian weather. Anyway, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Amazing game. Amazing game. Love it. Like one of my top ones from the classic main Resident Evil games, and I have many reasons to say that. I have many reasons to say that. Yeah, I definitely recommend you to play it. Let's break it down why. This time around, they actually changed a lot of things in Resident Evil 3. Well, not that much. It's not a completely different game. Again, the same gameplay loop, the same mechanics that I mentioned before, they're still present in this game. But there's still a lot of differences that actually, I'm not gonna say that they make the game better, they just make the game feel different and more unique, more fresh comparing to Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. One of the things that they added is a dodge button. You can actually dodge this time around, and trust me, it sounds like it's not a big deal, it's not a big feature, but it does make a huge difference. Because of the dodge button, you can finally have a lot of zombies on the screen, you can make them a little bit faster, more dangerous, because you have this option to avoid being beaten or being attacked. So it definitely changes the pacing of the game a little bit more. On the top of that, they added this new enemy that follows you everywhere. I think you pretty much already know about him. Everyone knows about him. His name is Nemesis. He chases you in certain areas and he's pretty fast. He's running actually, and the dodge button helps you to avoid him. Another thing that they changed in this game is the initial layout of the map and how the map feels. Let me explain. In Resident Evil 1 or 2, you have like a giant level that you can travel from left to the right, west and east wing, and there's like a bunch of different levels that kind of follow the same formula. Eventually it gets a little bit more linear. This time around the map is different, it's more linear, but it's not a problem at all. I know some people prefer to have like a mansion type of style map where you just travel between the east or west wing. This time around you start from the bottom left of the map and you have to go to different, like a top left of the map, and then you have to go back sometimes. There's backtracking as well, like in all Resident Evil games, but it has branches that you can go and visit, like different areas. And the map itself is the first initial map. It's the city and it's huge. There's a lot of areas that you can visit. I'm not gonna spoil you, but like some of them, like let's say you can visit like a restaurant or like some kind of apartment. There's a lot of places you can go to and they all interesting. Another thing this game does differently is how it's trying to scare you. It utilizes more jump scares, and again the enemies are faster this time around, so you're a little bit more under pressure comparing to the first and the second one, where you slowly choose your pacing, you walk from a room to room. Enemies are very slow, some of them kind of fast, but in this game, in Resident Evil 3, they do really trying to use jump scares, and I jumped once or twice, which is like a very surprising thing. It's kind of spoiler though, but and the story is also different this time around. it's not that different, but it is different, slightly different. Now we playing as Jill Valentine, again the same character from Resident Evil 1. She is in Raccoon City now while the outbreak happens, a zombie outbreak happens, and all she wants is to escape the city. She meets some side characters there and there, but they don't really play that of a significant role, I would say. She doesn't unravel like a super dark, deep secrets. Okay, she does, but they're not that impactful since her only thing that she wants to do is just to escape the city. It's pretty straightforward. I would say the cinematics got more expensive, dialogues got a little bit more interesting, but it's a personal preference, so I'm not gonna speak on that. What I can say, it definitely got a little bit more straightforward, more simple. The goal is escaping the city, while in Resident Evil 2, for example, it's more of a investigate what's going on step by step to figure out what happened exactly, and at the same time you gotta escape. There are more layers to it in the second game than in the third one, yet it feels refreshing, it feels different. I don't really complain about it. I think it fits the game because this game became more of an action-oriented game rather than being like a survival horror game. Again, you still do the same exact things, like you exploring, solving puzzles, fighting zombies, trying to find a way to proceed to the next level, but yet at the same time, since they added a dodge mechanic, they added an option to craft certain things. Again, I'm not gonna spoil you much, I don't want to, and you getting chased by a monster, a big monster. It all makes this game more action-like. It feels more crazy, more how would I say it? It feels like you're more just under constant pressure from everything what happens around you. It's pretty cool, it's pretty refreshing. It's honestly one of my favorite Resident Evil games as of right now. The only one negative thing I want to point it out, it's don't buy a Steam version of the game that just recently got released. Maybe buy a GOG version. I don't know if GOG version is better, but the Steam version definitely has some graphical issues that I had to fix through installing like a mod, and it was a headache. This is the only game that gave me like a little bit of a headache because I needed to find out how to fix it, and it wasn't really like a good experience in the beginning. But yeah, so just be careful with the Steam version. I don't know why the first and the second one on Steam they run pretty smoothly. This one, it has some graphical glitches, weird artifacts, so be ready for that. And again, as I said, I highly recommend to play this game. Again, if you're not sure which one you should start with, you gotta look at this one maybe first. If you don't really like, okay, I can only give one chance, only one Resident Evil game, I would definitely recommend try to start with Nemesis or the second one. But there's a few more. We have 3 more games to talk about, guys.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil Code Veronica. I'm not sure if I should recommend you this game or not. And the reason for that, this game doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Like I said, in Resident Evil 3, they changed the formula, they changed some stuff around. Resident Evil 2 changed some stuff around there and there. It just got a little bit bigger, a little bit better than the first one. But Code Veronica, for me, it feels like Resident Evil 2, 3, and 1 all combined together, kinda. It doesn't really have like big features that I want to point out and just say, okay, this is worth playing because it has this, this, and that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, initially, it was supposed to be a Resident Evil 2 ported to a different console, but because of that console's limitation, they decided to just make a new Resident Evil game imported to to a different console, like Dreamcast as far as I'm aware. So that's why we got this game. And I think it was the standard practice back in the day. They would just make spin-offs, ported to a different console, just not to hurt anyone, just to expand the audience and sell more games from this famous franchise. And I think because of those porting issues, console limitations, we got this pretty safe game that doesn't really have unique features, gameplay, mechanics. It kind of a combination of all previous games, but nothing new except akimbo style dual weapons that you can use in both hands like this. Like you can shoot two zombies at the same time, which is hella fucking crazy, I'm not gonna lie. It looks cool on the screen, and when you do it, unfortunately, that's the only thing that I can remember on the top of my head right now. But I don't want to be all negative, so I'm gonna point out one thing that I really love about Code Veronica that I probably never mentioned during my streams, is that I love the story. I think the story is crazy funny, it's goofy, it's stupid. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Resident Evil stories. Or like the lore, yes, the lore is interesting, but the stories that they're trying to tell you, the characters that they're trying to portray, and the character development usually is just absent. It doesn't really exist, maybe somewhere between the games, but not on the screen. Usually we don't see it. But in this game, it's so funny to watch, it's so funny to follow. There's a bunch of crazy moments there and there. Almost every character has annoyingly funny voiceover. Like one of the main villain, the way he laughs, it's like a dolphin kind of laugh. He's like
I so want to enjoy this.
Yeah, and again, the story is funny, it's goofy, and yet it has this like one or two moments where I actually felt like, okay, I'm kind of felt that. It's sad or it's funny. Here's one example, right? There is a character in this game who I thought is annoying. He is annoying. Something happens to that character at the end of the story, and I was genuinely upset. That's like the first time when I felt like, wow, we spent a lot of time with a certain character. Something happens and you're just like, ah man, I just started to feel something. I actually felt like, okay, I have feelings. Basically, I had some kind of feelings towards the story for once, which is very, very impressive. So if there's one thing I want to point out as a positive thing, the story. I think you should play Resident Evil Code Veronica eventually just for the story, just for the plot alone. And I completely forgot to mention this. This is very important. This game doesn't exist, not on Steam, not in GOG, nowhere. You cannot just buy some kind of ported version for your PC. Unfortunately, you have to emulate the game. Like, it doesn't exist like that. It's an old game. We're gonna get a remake soon. Nice, good, amazing, but if you want to play the original right now, so you will have to go through you have to do some researching, some homework to be able to install the game. I used my recommendation. I used Dolphin emulator and it worked perfectly. So something to keep in mind. A few more things I have to warn you about this game. First of all, you can soft lock yourself. Didn't happen to me though. I got lucky, I don't know how, but I heard a lot of stories online. I read some stuff on Reddit. You can actually soft lock yourself, and I can see that happening, but it didn't happen to me. But I have to warn you. Another issue I want to point out is that certain things in the game you won't be able to pick up. Certain weapons, I mean. There are weapons in the game you either won't be able to find or won't be able to obtain for whatever reason. Like, there's a Magnum pistol. Don't worry, it's not a spoiler. Magnums, they like in every single Resident Evil game. There's a Magnum in the game that I wasn't be able to obtain because I didn't bring a very specific item to a very specific place. And it kind of upset me because I kind of used the same weapons for almost the entirety of the game. I've been looking for something new to try, but I find out that I don't have access to it anymore. And the last negative thing I want to point out, and it's not a big deal for me, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like I should mention that. There's a lot of backtracking. The structure of the map is kind of like, especially in the beginning, it's like in Resident Evil 3, which is you start somewhere like at the bottom of the map, then you have to go to the other side of the map, but then you have to come back. So it does happen pretty often when you have to come back and you have to go through a lot of loading screens, which is very funny because when I was researching about how to install this game on my computer, one of the things that I find out like on YouTube, there's like a lot of videos, a lot of tutorials, how to install a mod to fix the game so you could skip those loading screens, because there's a lot of loading screens that you have to go through. It's definitely an issue at this point that I have to say, and I have to point it out to prepare you guys if you decide to play it. But again, I cannot really recommend it. I would say you can pass this game. Definitely play it once you play the second or third one, but not to be your first Resident Evil game experience. No. Try something else.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 1 Remake. We finally got to this point, and I don't know if you noticed, but I'm trying to go by the years these games got released. So 2002, the second to the last game that got released from the classics. But I actually, which is interesting, I played the remastered version of the remake, which is kind of confusing. That one came out in 2016 to support new, like a widescreen, some other things, but it's still a remake, but it's a remaster of the remake. And you know what is even more funny? I thought the remake is a remaster. I thought I'm gonna get the same exact experience, so I played the remake version of Resident Evil 1 first, and then I played the old OG Resident Evil 1. I thought I'm playing the remaster version. It's confusing, but yes, it's a remake. I said that this remake is basically one of the reasons why you should pass the first one. And let me explain. I know, don't throw your tomatoes, potatoes, whatever vegetable you have. Let me explain myself, okay? I know there's a lot of probably fans that got offended by this statement, but the remake is just a better version, in my opinion, it's just a better version of the first game. But at the same time, it's not really a remake, it's more of a soft remake. Or I would say hard remaster. I don't know how should you call it, because it has all the same exact mechanics. Yes, there's like new levels, kind of new areas to explore. The puzzles got either updated or changed. They added more to the story, and technically it is a remake, and I agree with that, and it provides you with different experience, but at the same time those changes are very close to the original. So if I would ever have a choice, I'm trying to be honest with myself, which one I would play again, I probably would play a remake, because it keeps all the same elements and almost didn't touch them. The freaking camera, bro. It either didn't touch them or improved upon all those mechanics, and again it provides almost, in my opinion, the same experience. Again, slightly different, of course, it's definitely different, yet the same. Hard to explain. Let me just list some of those positive changes really quick. One of them, the game feels more difficult because they added new enemies. They're hard to kill and they're pretty dangerous. Some of the puzzles got more challenging. They just took the same puzzles but added a little bit spice to it, so it's not just easy to solve. There's like a little bit more, a few more steps that you gotta do to solve them. They fixed the positioning of the save areas, like a typewriter that you have to save on, and item boxes. They fixed it actually. They put them in the right places. The plot, the story got more complex. You see more cutscenes, more explanations, more obvious details about what exactly happened in the mansion and just overall in that area. I don't know if I even should mention the graphics. The remake looks a little bit more grounded, more dark, more kind of natural colors. The old one is like a lot of bright colors. The remake is trying to be slightly more realistic. Again, it's a matter of preference, so to each its own. I don't really care about that much. That's why I haven't been talking about the graphics in all of those previous games, because again, matter of preference. You just go to YouTube, you check it yourself, you see the graphics you like, you go and you play it. But I cannot really say objectively if it's something good or something bad. But the core features, the core mechanics are the same. The tanky controls, there. The combat, like going up and down, middle, same. Fixed camera, same. The only negative thing I want to point out about the remake is how they position enemies on the map. in the areas, it feels like they tried to put them in sort of tricky areas, like exactly almost on the edge between two screens. So sometimes you walk from one screen to another, the zombie doesn't make any sound and he grabs you right away. You don't have time to react to avoid the attack. I didn't feel the same thing in the original, but I definitely felt that in the remake. I don't know, maybe it's just me, it's just the way I felt, but I definitely experienced this kind of scenario more often. Or there was a moment in the game where the one zombie was in the closet. He wasn't in the closet in the original game, but he is in the remake, and he doesn't make any sound, but you walk in and he just kind of right there. Like, I mean, you can still react, you have a little bit of time, but he's still a little bit too close to you. So yeah, that's one thing that a little bit weird, but it is what it is. And one more thing I want to mention about the Resident Evil 1 remake is that it felt more challenging overall. In the beginning of the game, you have a choice, like what difficulty you want to go with, where in the original, you don't have that choice from the beginning, you just have to go with what it offers you, right? But here you have a choice, you can go with the most like difficult level, and it's good because I felt more challenged, it felt more difficult. I've been looking for ammo all the time. I've been like that French meme with the guy who is screaming, I need more bullets, I need more bullets, I need more bullets. That's exactly how I felt the entire time. I just couldn't find ammo. It felt more stressful, more difficult to go through, and it's definitely a big plus for me. In the original, you don't really have a choice, like you just go with whatever difficulty the game offers you from the beginning. In conclusion, I want to say that you cannot skip the first remake, like you just cannot skip it. I highly recommend you to play it. And you know what, I'm gonna go even further and I'm gonna say again, you can skip the first one and you can play a remake first. And I know, don't throw your tomatoes, OG Resident Evil fans, no, don't throw your tomatoes, no. Guys, again, I'm going off of basically the idea that I'm trying to bring more people to play these games, and I want them to have like the best experience they can have the first time. Of course, after playing the remake, if you really like it, you can play the original as well. Nobody's taking that away. But let's say if you have one chance, one opportunity, just for one game, you want to give it a shot, but you're kind of scared, I think the remake is like the best, the safest, and the most fulfilling option that gives you all the experience that you need. It's basically going to be your perfect starting point. If you try it, you don't like it, you don't need to play any other, but if you're gonna enjoy it to some degree, then you can go to any other classic Resident Evil game without any problems, and you're gonna be okay because you already went through everything what you need to know, and on top of that, you get the best experience you can have. Okay guys, we're almost at the finish line. We have one more Resident Evil game left to talk about. This one is gonna be interesting. This one is gonna be definitely interesting. Resident Evil 0, guys.
Resident Evil 0.
Resident Evil 0. I don't even know where to begin. This game sucks. I hate it so much. It was unpleasant experience. Let's just say that. Let me just give you a general premise of this game. It basically takes place before the very first Resident Evil game. This time around, the story follows Rebecca. I am Rebecca Chambers. She's a rookie medic from the STARS Bravo team. Her team was sent to investigate some weird murders outside of the Raccoon City, somewhere like in the woods, in the mountains. As usual, something bad happens from the start. The helicopter with the Bravo team on it crashes somewhere in the middle of the woods, and they get all separated. While searching the area, the Bravo team also finds out there's an escaped prisoner somewhere in the woods. He's dangerous. His name is Billy Coin. He was being transported for something, but he was transported for execution basically. And I'm gonna spoil you right now, it's not a big deal. You're gonna find out right away and almost in the beginning of the game that he is the second playable main character in this game. Okay, let's go back to Rebecca. What happens to Rebecca? Rebecca finds this mysterious train in the middle of the woods. I forgot the name of the train. She goes inside, and this is where your tutorial starts. I call this like a train sequence. It goes for about an hour. It's pretty short. You learn all essential mechanics in that train, learning about the story, and then you go to the next big level. I'm gonna tell you right now, the train sequence is the best part of this entire game. I think it's like the most polished, the most refined part of the game that doesn't really have issues that I want to like point it out. They introduced this new mechanic in this part, which is to be able to control two characters at the same time. This is an absolutely new mechanic that the classic series introduced. You have now Billy and, like I said, Rebecca, and they're both present on the screen, and you control them almost simultaneously. Well, not really simultaneously. Like, it's not like you control one with the mouse and one with the keyboard. No, not like that. You can press one button on your keyboard, or you can go through the menu and press one button there, and then your main character that you control swaps. The cool thing about that mechanic is that they don't have to be present in the same room. They can be in completely different areas, really far away from each other. And to get to each other, you have to go through loading screens, through the doors. It's one of the things, it's annoying, but that's just the way it is. And you use these two characters to solve some very interesting puzzles in this game. There are quite a few puzzles that make you utilize these two characters and swap between them back and forward to solve them. It's pretty interesting, and conceptually it sounds very amazing. Unfortunately, this mechanic is not perfect. It's not like absolutely refined. It has issues. We're gonna talk about those issues a little bit later, but let's go back to the train sequence. It's one of the best moments in the game. It's short, it's beautiful, there are a lot of interesting puzzles. The gameplay, like I said, it's exactly the same like any other classic Resident Evil game. Like, you just stand in one place, taking control, combat, you go up and down. That's all exactly the same thing. And you know what's also very surprising is that the story is very intriguing in the beginning. You don't know what's going on. On top of that, instead of having like a giant mansion like you have it in Resident Evil 1, 2, or Code Veronica, you have just a narrow, like a straightforward, like you can go only back and forward train. And for you to know, the train is not just standing in one place, it's actually moving, and it looks so beautiful. You can go outside of the train, and there's rainy weather, just the drops you can see falling on the train. You can see like the air moving, the items, the objects inside the train, they also like shaking as the train moving. It's so atmospheric, it's so beautiful. I was standing like in the kitchen room or something like that, and I was just looking how everything was moving around, and I was like, wow, this is just, it looks good, it looks unique, looks so different. Unfortunately, the train sequence doesn't last very long. It goes for about an hour. You can complete it in an hour, maybe two if something is gonna go wrong, but then you will have to go to a different area, which is a giant mansion. In the mansion area, the game started to reveal all its main issues that made me so annoyed, so surprisingly angry. I don't remember the last time that I experienced such a weird, in a way, bad game design choices. Let's start with some obvious issues. They removed a storage box. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but that was not a good choice. That was just not a good game design choice. It created so many issues. Let's start with something simple, like you just don't really have space to carry weapons that you want to carry. Well, not just weapons, but actually items in general. I think the idea is that, well, now you have two characters that kind of sharing the inventory space. Like, they have 12 item slots for both of them in total, and you should be able to carry all the stuff that you need. But in reality, no. One of the main reasons why you always feel like you don't have enough space is because for some reason some weapons or some items, they have 2 slots out of 6 available per character. So let's say Rebecca can have a shotgun that takes up 2 slots. Colin, or what's his name, not Colin, Billy Billy Coin? Yes, Billy, I forgot his name. So Billy also can carry like one weapon that takes up 2 slots, which is like usually like a second shotgun or something like that. So you have a pistol, you have bullets, either for a pistol or a shotgun. You need to have one heal at least, just in case, and you have one slot available for a puzzle item. It's hard to explain it in the video like that, but trust me, it's not enough. It's not enough. You constantly feel like there's just, you cannot carry stuff that you want to carry. I forgot to mention one thing. You can drop items on the floor. You can do that. You can do that, yes. The problem is that you have to come back for it. So sometimes you're gonna drop something like really far away on completely different side of the dimension, and then couple hours later, couple like 30 minutes later, you realize, oh, I need that item right now. So you have to go through like 50, 60, I'm exaggerating, but you have to go through like 5 or 6 loading screens just to get that item. Then you realize you don't have space, so you have to drop something else, pick up that puzzle item, come back, and that's what you do all the time. At some point I just give up. I started to like accumulate items from different areas and just bring it to the main hall, because you never know what you might need in the future. You don't have a designated area to go to pick up those items when you need. Like I said, sometimes you can be in completely different side of the area and then you realize, oh man, I need bullets, I need my shotgun, I need something, and you have to go all the way to a different side of the area. It's just so tedious. And picking up the items and dropping them on the ground, it takes also forever, because you have to watch this animation where Billy goes down, then you get the item screen, you do something, Billy goes up. Sometimes you gotta find the right angle to put you like to pick up the item that you want. It's just so uncomfortable to do. It takes so much time. So, like sometimes I would just get stuck in the main hall. It's like picking up this thing, dropping this thing, picking up this thing, dropping this thing. It takes forever, instead of like, again, in the first Resident Evil game, you just go to the storage box where you know where it's located. You just go there pretty fast through a few screens, open the thing, and just pick up the stuff that you need. You don't have to go to your map and like, I dropped this stuff over there, god fucking damn it, I have to actually go. Another thing that just didn't feel right is the amount of essential resources, items that you can find on the map. Again, some like especially like in the middle of the game, in that mention, it felt like there's just constantly not enough resources. It could be that because I chose the hardest difficulty instead of choosing normal, but it still didn't feel right. It seemed to me like you have to be perfect playing on the hardest difficulty, not to waste a single bullet, a single shotgun shell, trying to save as many heals as you can, because you just won't be able to find any. You won't be able to find anything at some point. There was a moment in the game where I didn't have any save ink that I could use to save my game. I didn't have any heals. I was one hit away from being killed, and I was stressed about it. I was like, let me just go around the mansion, just find something, like a small herb or like more bullets or something like that, to realize that there's just nothing left. There's just nothing left for me to take to help me to progress further, and I died, and it set me back 30 or like 20 minutes back. I think the hard difficulty was designed for your second playthrough only, definitely not the first playthrough. So that's why I'm saying, like, it could be my fault that I felt that way. If I played on normal, it felt a little bit better. So that's why I'm not saying it's a big complaint, but it still felt weird. Like in many other Resident Evil games that I played, once you unlock the hardest difficulty and you play on the hardest mode, these games would still give you an option to progress further. You're still gonna be able to find something useful to help you out. You were never like out of options, you were never out of herbs. There's always something you can find. In this game, no, it felt like very limited, surprisingly. And the worst sin this game committed is soft locks. This game has a crazy amount of soft locks. I don't know, maybe I was just unlucky, but let me describe you one soft lock that I had, and you can tell me, oh yeah, you just skill issue. At some point in the game, you have to solve another puzzle with Billy and Rebecca being present in the same area, and then a giant huge centipede, a boss, appears and grabs Rebecca and you have to play as Billy to save her. You know what's the problem? Right before that happened, I gave almost all my weapons. I gave my shotgun and my ammo to Rebecca. I gave her almost everything. And I had a pistol, maybe a few bullets, I don't remember now, but you're gonna be able to see it on footage. I gave her everything, and I just wasn't able to fight the monster. I wasn't able to do anything. I shot the guy, I think, with my pistol. Again, I need to rewatch my footage, but I shot the guy several times, and then I was out of ammo. I couldn't do anything. That centipede just killed Rebecca and it set me back a couple of minutes. I don't know, like 10, maybe 20 minutes back. I don't remember now, but it was just not good. It was like, it was not my fault. I didn't know what's gonna happen. I thought, okay, I'm gonna give Rebecca some of my weapons to store, like, in her character, if it makes sense. She was like kind of item box, and I was trying to use more. I was trying to play as Billy more. And I got in this situation where nothing could be done. I couldn't kill the boss, I had to walk around, Rebecca got killed, that's it. But it didn't stop right there. Guess what? When I came back, I gave all weapons, all bullets to Billy because I knew, okay, I'm gonna play as Billy, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch. I shot the centipede, I was shooting all my bullets, some of them I kind of missed. Guess what? It didn't kill it. It wasn't enough. I wasted a few shotgun shells there and there, maybe a few bullets from my gun, from my main pistol, but the centipede was alive. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a knife on me. I dropped the knife a long time ago and never picked it up. So I had to go down like the map through 5 or 6 loading screens, pick up the knife. I came back and I started to hold. Rebecca got killed. On my 3rd time, on my 4th time, I didn't know what I was doing wrong exactly. So I did exactly the same thing. Like, I just gave all my weapons and I told myself, okay, you should not miss a single shot. Not a single shotgun shell should be wasted. And that's the only thing that the only option that I could do. Okay, let's try it. I tried it and it worked. It only worked when I was absolutely perfect with my every single shot, not wasting anything that I have. I'm getting a little bit heated right now, I'm not gonna lie. Just thinking about that one moment. Basically, take the scenario that I just described to you and multiply it by 5 times. About 5 or 6 times I had this kind of soft locks where I just couldn't progress any further. There was one time where I got stuck for about 2 hours according to my stream. As I remember, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours where I was just circling around the same area and I was trying to find like a way out to beat the game. And eventually I just gave up and I had to go and load a different save like about 30 minutes or an hour back just to save a little bit more ammo, just to save a little bit more herbs and do my run perfectly so I would have enough items, resources to do a certain thing. Again, I'm trying not to spoil you. What if you're still gonna decide to play this game after I just told you? Who knows? So I'm trying to be very careful. But if you're gonna watch my streams, you're gonna see that like that was one time when I just got stuck for like 2 hours or 3 hours, just wasn't be able to do anything. Another weird game design choice was to add this red enemies, like I call them red blobs. They are almost immortal. They take a huge amount of ammo to kill. The issue is not that they're hard to kill. The issue is the game doesn't really offer you good solutions to deal with them, to do something about them. I spent a little bit of time researching online on how to deal with them, and it's funny, I found this like Reddit post something by someone, and people in the comments, they were like debating like what's the best option to do, and I tried them all myself and I find out they're not perfect. They just don't really work as they're supposed to. Online on the internet, it was saying that, well, it's better not to fight them, it's better to avoid them. The problem is that they always located in such a narrow hallways, such a narrow pathways. So when you're trying to run around them, there's literally almost no room to do it. There's usually just no space to run around them. Yes, they're very slow, but it doesn't matter because guess what? They have like an extended attack, like that guy from Street Fighter, that the dude who just like who punches like from really far away. He's a freaking Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. There were like a few times where I decided, okay, I'm just gonna go and just brute force this guy. I'm just gonna shoot everything what I have. all the ammo. I gave my pistol to Rebecca and shotgun to Billy and something like that, or maybe vice versa, and we just start shooting the guy. I wasted everything and I couldn't kill it. I just couldn't kill it. It just takes so much damage. I was literally just, okay man, what else can I do here? Then I find out they actually have a weakness. It's fire. You can make Molotov cocktails in the game. That's another thing, like you have throwables now in the game. You have Molotov cocktails. You can kill him with Molotov cocktails. You can. You know how many Molotov cocktails it takes to kill the guy? 4. Guess how many Molotov cocktails you can usually craft or find nearby that monster, like in that area? 3. 3, guys. Okay, the game designers thought, okay, we're gonna place bottles and gas in the area so you can craft Molotov cocktails so you could fight this creature, but you can only craft 3. So you throw all 3 of them and you feel like it should take the guy down. You spending 3 Molotov cocktails to kill the guy. He's still standing. And at that point I started to think like, okay, you cannot kill him with the Molotov cocktails. What else you can do? And then out of curiosity, a little bit later in the game, I decided to throw 4 and I killed the guy and I was like, wow, it takes 4? But you need to go and find them. You gotta go and farm those. You gotta grind those Molotov cocktails just to be able to kill one guy, just one guy. And in one area, there could be like about 4 of them or 3 of them. And you almost guaranteed you're gonna get damaged. You're gonna get attacked by them. They're gonna grab you and they're gonna hit you. I have more examples of some weird game design choices there and there, like a small one. One of the boss fights happens in a very small tiny area and you have to be very careful with your movement to avoid the boss's attacks. But I think I already said enough. I didn't mention anything about the story because the story is just okay, it works. I consider it to be slightly worse than in Resident Evil 1, but it's still serviceable. There are like a few twists there and there that actually interesting. At least there was one that I was kind of surprised about. But overall the game is just not good. The only part of the game that I really enjoyed is the train sequence, and it was very short. Having a game mechanic where you can control 2 characters almost at the same time on the paper sounds amazing, but the final execution was just not great. It was just not there. I think out of all the Resident Evil games, this is like the worst experience that I got. And I'm talking about, when I'm saying out of all, I mean out of all the Resident Evil games that I played, including the 6th, including the 9th, including all of those, the classics as well. This is like gave me the worst experience ever, just because of those soft locks. I would say mostly. Again, maybe I just got unlucky. Maybe you played it and it was perfect. Maybe you got one soft lock at the best, but you managed to finish this game, no problem. I got stuck about 4 or 5 times for a couple hours in places where I was not supposed to be stuck. And on top of that, it has a lot of questionable game design choices, like the removal of item box or those red blobs that unkillable, placed in such spaces where you cannot avoid them, you're always getting hit. At the end of the day, I just really cannot recommend this game. I would highly recommend to avoid it as much as you can. I mean, you can play it eventually once you play all the other classic Resident Evil games, but don't make it your first Resident Evil experience. The first classic Resident Evil experience is just gonna ruin everything, unless maybe if you're gonna play on easy mod, maybe the easy mod is gonna change your experience. Okay, this is it guys. I talked about every main classic Resident Evil game, except there are like a few like Outbreak, Resident Evil Outbreak, but they don't really have a story. They're like just completely kind of different type of games. I don't know, maybe eventually down the line I'm gonna try those. Please follow and subscribe me if you like the video. If you didn't like the video, don't follow, don't subscribe. I don't want to push you. Please leave your comments. That's the most precious thing to me. I would love to read something about myself, about my views. Tell me like how bad I am, how I'm not a fan, how I missed these kind of details and everything what I said is wrong. Please let me know. I would love to read them and maybe correct my mistakes. Maybe you're gonna point out some of the issues that I missed. And stay happy, alright? Bye, bye, bye. What the fuck would I do that? Hell no, I'm leaving. Woohoo! Finally!